sharing. I think, people are like, I don't really want to go through this heavy stuff. It's much more fun to recognize each other and clap. But my job is to hopefully put you in a different place so you understand that your success is really there. And you have to sometimes dig down deep and almost get emotional and think about, what do you really want from this? So my question is, you could have that guarantee. Why are you not there? What is keeping you from that? Oh, but you're new. I don't know about you. What is, I won't bother you either. Who is keeping you from that? What's keeping you from achieving what you just said? Earning trips, replacing a full-time income. What do you guys think it is?
Phone with the teeth.
I'm sorry about
The phone with
the phone with the teeth. Okay.
It's like relying on myself.
What you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
That I call it Psycho Girl.
Yeah.
How many of you have Psycho Girl? Sybil in one ear, and she's like, you can't do this. What are you thinking? Don't call right now. They're busy. They're eating. Well, that's kind of the best time to call. You're talking about cooking.
Or just
You guys are going back and forth. I can't do this. My husband wants me to do this. There's too many people here. I'm a big town. I'm a little town. Does anybody do that?
oh yeah.
How about when you see somebody or you're trying to stalk them at the grocery store to give them a catalog? And you literally follow them around, talking yourself in and out of presenting your catalog to them. Has everybody done that? And you're looking for that window. Isn't it just doing it? So it's your self-talk is what you're saying. What else is holding you guys back?
Fear of rejection or something.
Fear of rejection. But fear of rejection from who? Is that somebody else, or is that fear coming from you?
Probably both. A little bit of both, but more so yourself. You're just scared of. It's like Carla told me. She helped me out a lot when my show didn't go the way I wanted it to. She said, "Do not take it personally."
By the way, she had 6 people at her show and has like 4 bookings and a trade show. And
Yeah, it was awesome.
yeah, it was just like, she's a rock star, but she's not happy to come. But I understand. It is. Sometimes it's a fear that you have. But the question I'm asking you is, who controls that fear? So what's really holding you back from what you just shared? Yourself. It is totally in your power. And I think some people know that, but other people don't. You don't realize you have the power to do whatever you want. These leaders have figured out how to get over themselves. And they have to do the same thing. For Erin to keep going to the next level, it's about her not worrying about rejection, focusing on the action, and not getting. So if you know it's you, how do you think you? Well, I think that would be a part of our conversation. But, I want you to think about what if she hadn't started this company? Do you think she had some fear when she started this company?
Oh, yeah.
And how did she overcome it? So I'm asking, how do you break through it? The whole conversation I'm having is, how do you guys break through that? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. But I am going to refer you to a story by Allison Levine, and I'm sure you can send them out the link. Allison Levine was one of our We're going to kind of spend the time to everybody in the room, including you.
And then she said, okay, I'll do it. So she got her teammates together, and she was like the tallest one, less than 5 foot tall. And they trained and everything, and they got Ford to sponsor them, because that was about the time that Ford came out with the Ford Expedition. And they called their team, like their slogan was Expedition Everest. They didn't get Chevrolet because Chevrolet was coming out with a brand new SUV truck thing called the Avalanche, and so that wasn't going to work. So thank God that Ford got the. Anyway, they bought them all this stuff, so they trained and they went to Mount Everest. Mount Everest is huge, and if you don't know anything about climbing mountains, because I did not. You have to go at the base of the mountain, which is already very elevated, like 17,000 And I can tell you when we were in Denver, that's elevated over 5, and I was dizzy, so. 17,000 I don't think I could do. So they had to camp there for a couple of days. They call it base camp. Then when you get ready to start climbing, and it is so cold, they have like 6 layers of clothes on, and then they look like the Michelin Man, the tire guy. So anyway, they climb the mountain a little bit. They have it mapped out, and they climb to here. And they stay there a couple of days. And then they get up the next morning, and they go back down to base camp. And they stay there a couple of days. And then they go back to where they just went. And they stay there a couple of days. And then they go back down the mountain. And I'm thinking, what the heck, climb the mountain? Gosh, this is taking forever. And she's telling us about it. And then they go to the next part. Stay a couple of days. And then they go to the place they were the day before. Stay there a couple of days. Then they go back up. And then guess where they go? All the way back to base camp. And they keep doing that over and over again. And it's a 2-month process. She was on this mountain. Now, we'll tell you all about how to go to the bathroom and all that later, because I know you're thinking, with all that clothes and everything.
And she showed us.
Yeah, she showed us. We so need one of those,
We
right?
so
Need one. I was just thinking the other day when I was on my walk, I was like, gosh, I need that house in of anything. So, anyway, they're almost at the top of the mountain, and they're climbing Mount Everest. And it's up there, and the visibility isn't good, and it's freezing. And they're climbing the mountain, and they're seeing frozen corpse. Because if you die there, there's people dying all the time. They don't go back and get you. They just can't. It's not safe. And there's some places where the rocks move and shift. And they've kind of got ladders set up and everything. It's just crazy. She was showing us pictures of it. She said we were almost there. They were really close.
Mm-hmm.
But they were one step.
5 breaths, she would say.
One step and then 5 breaths. And she said you didn't go 12 foot in an hour. So they're almost there, and this storm came. They couldn't see anything. The wind was real bad. And you don't want to blow off the side of Mount Everest, because it was bye-bye. They made the decision and that your body just can't take, you're 75% dead by the time you get up there or something
you're
like
dying
that?
every minute you're there.
You're dying, your body is breaking down. And they were almost at the top.
29,000
And
feet.
they couldn't go any farther. And they had to make the decision. She had to make the decision, do I put my team in danger just to say we climb to the summit of Mount Everest, or do we go back down? And it was so bad, and the conditions were extreme. They made the decision to go back to base camp. And she never reached the summit of Mount Everest. However, so she goes back. You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
She goes back home, and she's going to a dinner party, and she talks to this guy, where a friend introduced her. Oh, this is my friend. She climbed Mount Everest, and the guy said, oh, did you make it? Did you go to the summit? And she's like, no, we were almost there. He's like, well, you didn't really climb it. And she said, oh, well, what did you do? And he said, what did he say?
This is CEO.
No, he's an account manager for J.P. Morgan.
He said, I work for J.P. Morgan. She said, oh, so you're the CEO? He's like, no. She's like, well, you don't work for them then. I was like, that's my kind of girl right there. So anyway, her friend, I can't remember her friend's name. A friend of hers said, you should go back. You should go back.
She kept nagging her.
She kept nagging her, and she's like, if you go with me, I'll go, Or she said, I'll go with you. And she said, I know she couldn't go because she had some kind of disease. I think it was
Some kind of lung problem.
lung problems, cancer or something. Anyway, she was training to go back, and her friend passed away. So she decided to still go try to climb Mount Everest again in honor of her friend. So here she goes back to the mountains, takes her team again. They're going to climb Mount Everest. They do the same thing over. They're in the exact same spot they were the last time, where they made that decision to turn around and go back. And the storm come up, and the winds were blowing, and it was crazy dangerous out there. And they decided, and there was people turning around going, you can't see anything up there, that they were going to keep on going. She said, we might die, but we're gonna go. And they made it to the top of the summit. So it took 4 months. Took 4 months because she had climbed it 2 months before. It was a couple of years before. She was on that mountain for 2 months. And then this time she was on a mountain for 2 months. But she had to go back to base camp several times before she could ever get to the summit, to the peak of Mount Everest. Now she's climbed Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world.
Woo-hoo.
Yay.
Very good.
That's all from memory.
I didn't even ask her to
She's a
do
very
that. So I
compelling
think,
speaker.
I don't know, for you guys, when I heard this story, I can think so much of my own life where I felt like I needed to go back to base camp. Or I was at base camp again and I'm like, why the heck am I back to base camp? Do any of you feel that way? Where you keep hitting that same storm of not getting on the phone. And I really would encourage you to watch her video. It's like a 17-minute video where she talks about this, and it is on YouTube. But she had some great life things I want to share with you, because I have to say, out of 20 years in direct sales, this was one of the most impactful speakers I ever heard. And we can't give you that emotion unless you watch it. But, you know, going backward sometimes is what you have to do to go forward. And there are other times, though, that you just need to get to the freaking summit. Do y'all agree? You just need to get it done. So some of the things that Allison really shared with us, these kind of high points, and usually what I would do when I would hear information like this, I'd write it down and I'd go back in a day or two and see what part is speaking to my heart. You know, because obviously there's something here that you need to hear. The first one is believe you can achieve any goal that you put your mind to. Believe you can achieve any goal that you put your mind to. Don't let other people tell you you can't climb a mountain. Why would you give that power to anybody else? You're all exceptional people. You're the ones that chose to come out tonight. You're the ones that have chosen to have a business associated with Pampered. You're exceptional people. Don't let other people choose what your mountains are. Number 2, it's not about winning, but making progress toward a goal. It's not about winning, it's about making that progress towards your goal. And I think for some of you, maybe you've missed a goal, and you start to feel bad about yourself. Anybody in here? But you're still winning. You're still moving forward. Next one, taking risk is not important. Taking a risk is not important. 4, try things that you never have, ask people you've never asked, and go places you've never been. So again, try things you've never have, ask people you've never asked. That girl in the grocery store you're stalking. Go places that you've never been. I love that you said you're going to a new town, and you just want to go out there and find out who's there. Because sometimes the greatest blessings are not in our own yard. And there are people you need to call and ask. Try something new. Go to events that you've never been to before. Next, you have the power to break through the boundaries. You have the power to break through that boundary. So whatever your booking is, whatever that booking boundary is, you have the power. I can tell you, I see new people all the time that are excellent. And then I'll see someone who's seasoned that maybe not in a great place, and they say, I can't book. I actually spoke to an advanced director today, and she was so funny. She is an elite seller. And she's like, please call me. So I called her in between flights, and she just said, Holly, September she sold $12,000.
Oh my God.
Okay? 12,000. Would you say she rocks?
Mm-hmm.
She said, my October, and she sold 10,000. She has 12 parties already for November. And October, everything is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I've never had this happen. And so she's like, I am just ready to just give it up. And I'm like, well, tell me, are you doing something different with your dialogue? You know, what are you talking to different people? She's like, I'm doing nothing different. And you know, we just talked through the conversation, and basically she just wanted to tell me that she was having a frustration. And she said, the answer is, I need to figure it out, and I need to do it for my people. And this is just a season, and she's going to get through it. So we all have that moment. The difference is she's not crying about it. When we got off the phone, she sent me a text. She's like, I'm ready to go. I'm fine. Sometimes you just have to vent and get it out. But she took responsibility and is getting on the phone. So you have that